Welcome everybody to our continued webinar series on Project for the Web and project technologies. My name's Tim Runcie. I will be your facilitator today, and I'm really actually very excited to showcase some of the latest changes that have been rolling out. In fact, I love to do little mini snippets, but I've kind of collected a whole series of these. And I thought what I'd do is run them all together and show you some of the latest enhancements for Project for the Web as Microsoft continues to march forward, improving the technology that we are all going to be using here in the future, or some of you may be using right now in terms of solving your project program and portfolio needs. So let me share my screen here and we can kind of jump right in and take a look at what the capabilities are in terms of these latest updates. And it's fun because not only am I aware of some of the stuff that's going to come out, but here's some of the great things that we have today. And not just too late. This is really great to have some of these things coming in place right now. So as you know, working for Advisicon, we love to dig into technology, project program, and portfolio and kind of optimize processes. And again, I think I'm at 17 years now as an MVP, which means I get to poke Microsoft and beg, plead, borrow for anything that happens to be an improvement in the project technology stack. Been doing this a long time. I'm excited to get you guys going in this. So we're going to talk a little bit about where is Microsoft going and some of the key components that we have here in terms of the direction, the functionality, as well as some of the feature sets. So remember, as we think about where the tool set is for Project for the Web, remember this has started out about a year and a half ago, basically November 2019, Microsoft launched this fledgling tool called Project for the Web. Very quick, very simple, very agile. And as we look at the growth or the direction of where the project technology stack is going, there's a couple of different dimensions. One, of course, is the current dimension of Project for the Web, is that it's designed to quickly give people a lightweight working environment. Project Online exists today, and it's not going away anytime soon. In fact, there's many years of good use left in this product, and it's kind of reached its pinnacle of achievement, but it's on an older technology stack in terms of options. We look at this current state of demand. And as we have more of these Gen X, Y, Gen Z, millennials, Gen Zennials, we have a lot of people that are very comfortable with technology. What they're looking at is something that might be a little bit lower tech, but may mature into something that's easier to work with. And so if we think in terms of whether you're doing agile or waterfall or a mixture, there's a blend and a balance. So of course, as you've seen, there's a task management with Microsoft to do. If you haven't played with Planner, of course, that is the #1 app added in Microsoft Teams. And we see this whole maturation of people beginning to move to task and work management. But there's a grow-up story that says, before we jump all the way into, say, project operations, which has a wonderful resource management capacity, a much bigger and broader engine around looking at scheduling. But the overhead of that, or maybe Project Online, which is certainly much easier to implement and configure and has already arrived, there's some gaps that say, you know what, that's a big, heavy step. There needs to be something in the middle. So as we think in terms of that direction of looking at apps for project managers, whether you're doing at mentions in an email or you're in OneNote, you want to quickly capture that task list, the idea is to begin to move organizations and people forward to say, hey, look, you can manage their work, but at some point we get beyond just simple checklist, you know, kind of the old Monday.com approach to just having a list or an Excel spreadsheet approach, is to say, look, we might have some time-phased activities, we might have some dependencies, and we want to see these move forward in strong elements that are designed to work together. So what's kind of fun is in the Microsoft ecosystem, which I'm sharing right now, we look at Planner kind of in the middle, project operations, again, Teams. A lot of these are designed to look at task and work management. Well, as we think about our demo today, let's actually jump in and look at some of the latest changes for Project for the Web. So I'm bringing up a plan here, but I'm going to kind of take a step back for a moment, and you'll see perhaps some new features showing up in here. But before I get into that, let's look at a little bit of the elements that actually come together in terms of some of the updates. So we saw that in 2021, certainly April, May, is that they've opened up and began to share the back-end stacks. You can programmatically start working with this. I'm going to showcase how Project for the Web just lightly talks about using something called the Accelerator or the project app. But right now, look at this here. If I want to start a blank new project, this is and will be your P4W, Project for the Web. But take a look at this. Maybe you've been working in a desktop and now we want to collaborate with others. And maybe it's a simple schedule. So you can actually import from the desktop your Microsoft project schedule. Now remember, that's like going from a 5,000 square foot home. You've got 4-car garage, a swimming pool. You've got the jacuzzi and the sun deck on the back, and moving it into maybe a 2-3 bedroom apartment. And remember, the idea is that maybe you really don't need all of that stuff if you're doing lightweight project management or at least managing different pieces. So the nice thing is that you can carry your project schedules, put them in a collaborative environment. There's actually an upgrowth process here to work with. Secondarily is roadmap. If you haven't seen the roadmap on whether you're going to go to Project Online or you work with Project for the Web, starting and launching roadmaps are great. It allows you to draw from milestones, summary tasks, or tasks from basically project, from Azure DevOps, and of course got Project for the Web where we can kind of bring these pieces together and show a bigger picture across maybe multiple environments. So roadmap still is there, and of course now roadmap is available in terms of being able to share with people so they don't have to have a license. So as we think in terms of just kind of that initial start of launching a new project, or importing one from the desktop, maybe you've got a template that you use, great place to begin to carry up and move those pieces over. In fact, you're going to see a little bit later on where we will be able to bring in Planner, right? Maybe Planner's got all of the Kanban views and cards, but now I need to kind of mature that there's dependencies and milestones and things we need to monitor. Or perhaps I need a little bit more effort tracking, whether it's done or not done, or some custom fields. Planner is designed to be simple, and we're going to see that as part of that growth process of moving directly into Project for the Web. Now, as promised, let me get into some of the great new features that we have here, and certainly from the view itself. So the idea is that we can also add what I call notes. In fact, let me just take one of these tasks here, and I'm just going to open up the details. Lots of ways to do this. One, you could click on it, or you can actually open it up here. But I love this idea of having a little note section where in many cases I might put scoped, signed, here's a checklist of things that we're seeing. Remember, of course, when Planner comes over, they're going to bring its internal task list, kind of like little mini checklists that you'll have available as there. So the idea is that all the features that we have in Planner are certainly coming. Can't tell you when that's coming out, but I know this is a hot requested item from the product team. So again, for now, we'll use the notes field to actually put in that information. Now, while we're talking about building the notes, you're also going to notice down here we can create attachments. So the idea is if I want to come down and add an attachment, I don't have to just add an attachment in terms of, hey, I got to type the text in a note. It's kind of a OneNote approach. You may have an entire Word document or a spreadsheet. And again, we can attach that from a computer. You can pull it from Microsoft Team files, or you can link to a URL if you have access to that and bring this information in. Now remember, the structure behind Project for the Web is the same structure that we're seeing in Microsoft Teams. So remember, what's under the hood is actually SharePoint. And in the past, what we used to do when we'd add an attachment is, why I can add a spreadsheet here, or if I want to pull something in local, or if I want to grab something from other place, I would actually have to pull up the entire plan in a separate window. But take a look at this. If we're adding attachments, some of the ability is to not just export it or copy it to copy this project and replicate what's going on here, but I can go right to these team files and say, hey, while I'm working here, let's just go right to that SharePoint site. And across all my tasks, just like we find in Teams, is that when I'm on a planner board and I add a file, or if I'm in Microsoft Teams and I drop something in there, we have this Sharepoint collection that allows us to automate it, create views, we can set alerts, reminders, and we still have that full control of SharePoint behind the scenes, including sending alerts and reminders about things that may have changed between these. So I love the simplicity, which is saying, hey, look, keep adding your attachments. In fact, this is one of the things I get excited about because I have a lot of nonprofit organizations that go, we just want to keep our invoices or expenses or something attached to that activity. And when I want to reference that project or do another one, it's nice to look up that information. But if I don't want to have to go to a separate SharePoint page to find it, can we bring them together? The short answer is absolutely. In fact, while you're adding these attachments, you're going to find that as you begin adding more columns and working with these, you have the option in terms of adding lookup or choices, which we'll talk about in just a moment. But one of the things that I get very excited about is this field called the quick look. And when you add the quick look, what it does is it gives you a little, hey, view the note, and I can actually click on it. Or if I want to actually view the attachment, I can select these and have multiple attachments. So inherently, I've got a quick look that says, hey, does any of these have any notes I need to read? Or perhaps what I'm looking at specifically is the attachments. So great job, project team, in kind of adding the clarity in terms of our actions or our options. Again, the idea is we can still build and manage our schedule and our activities here and have our details. So again, quick look is helpful. The also is that ability to link to those files, or at least go to quickly to where all your files across your entire project schedule is. And while you're continuing to build here, times that you're going to find is that while project can grow, there are limitations on the number of rows. So some people go, well, listen, how many rows are there in terms of the current limitation today? Well, we know that the project team is going to continue to add that, but they set a limit at 500. Well, most people don't even hit that amount anyway. But if let's say you have 40 or 50 or 200, you've got this in-app filtering that you can do here. And I like this is that you can certainly go in and say, show me things that are in progress or not started or are 100% complete. And you can kind of click on these one at a time. You see the little check marks on the right there that allows us. But I like to filter across all my columns. So maybe I'm saying I'm looking for the number 192. Or if I'm looking for text that says, while I'm filtering the task in terms of the name column, I want to find a task that has that information. So maybe I talk about rolling wave planning. Where's that rolling? Oh, there it is. It's on row 892. Well, not 892, but maybe 492. But inherently, as you type these in, and as Microsoft continues to add, this gives you a quick in-app filtering of your tasks. Now, remember, it's not just for the grid view. While some people have said, hey, I've seen my rollout, my update, it's only in the grid view. If I go over to my board view, we still have the option to filter. So as I think about, hey, listen, I'm looking for testing, I can start typing. And again, remember, we're treating this like a relational database, so that we can clear, we can search the information, and we can find what we're looking for. So whether it's timeline or your board view, you can actually come up here and click on your filter and put in the information that says, hey, listen, if I really truly am looking for something that says engineering, if you spell it right, it'll find it. Now, some people say, hey, Tim, is that case sensitive? Is it, is it case sensitive on how you're typing it? And the answer is it is not case sensitive, but it is spelling sensitive. So you got to spell it right if you want to find it. But I love having a quick search, especially as I'm looking across a lot of information, perhaps in a view, or when I'm in my board views. As I'm looking across here, I might have a lot of buckets. And so sometimes finding and changing my grouping isn't what I'm looking for. I just would like to narrow that down in terms of that visualization. Another fun thing here, and let me go back to my grid view, is the ability to add some of the new custom fields. So again, these are not enterprise level custom fields. Basically, each project can have a series of choice or text or number fields that you're able to localize. And we'll talk about what Microsoft has turned on so that if you do want to begin to create enterprise view across your project for the web files, you certainly can do that. That's a little bit more complicated. But right now, notice here, I've got a KPI field. Well, how do we get a KPI field, or how do we get any of our custom fields? Well, if we click on add a new field here, if I'm adding a column on the far right-hand side, you can come in here and choose whether it's text, number, yes, no, again, a Boolean, on, off, 1, 0, basically it's a flag field, if you will, or you can go into a choice. And I've had people who said, hey, listen, we're testing this out, it looks great, but I can't get the graphical indicators to show up. Let's talk about that. First of all, let's name our field. And I'm going to say here, it's a priority field. So now I've got a priority field, and I want to list a choice. Now, remember the idea of a choice, I could say low, medium, or high. But if you'd like to drop in an icon, whether it's a KPI or a text value, basically what you're going to do is you're going to actually use your Windows, basically that, what's it, Windows semicolon or apostrophe, and you can basically put in your emojis. Now, what I like to do is for a lot of the keyboards, they actually just have a smiley face button here, but you can come in and add your icons or your graphics. So again, this is all part of that Office 365 experience. And again, you're going to find these again if you go to adding your fields here. So if I'm thinking about priority, let's go in and let's pick a couple different priorities here. So I'm going to say here, pizza is my top priority. And for my second priority here, I'm going to backspace over the text. That's really the key here. And if you do that from Windows semicolon, you can grab one of your emoji fields. So let's go and pick something different. We'll say it's been pretty hot this summer, and I'm going to put in a snow cone here. But if you try and actually say, I want to do a Windows semicolon, you have to actually either replace or backspace over that. Just don't leave the text in there. Make sure that you have a nice drop down to pick from. So we'll grab another one here. And as I say, meat. There we go. We'll put some meat here. And so again, doesn't matter. A lot of choices to pull in here. Could be low, medium, or high. You can use quite a few things. And again, if you want to delete or remove the choices or even move them around, they have a little drag field here. You can kind of pull the choices. So whether it's text or an icon or a graphic, all I have to do is click on create. And again, looking at where do we want to add these? How do we want to work with our priority field? Here it is. Click. There's the drop down. And again, I like to make sure if it's nothing or it's something, we can certainly see that directly. And again, our perspective is I like to be able to manage these and work across the board. So click, pick, that's how easy it is. So again, reorient your columns. This is not anything new here, but again, think about your view or what you're presenting is that we can kind of organize these directly. And of course, if you don't want to use one of the custom fields, let's say that you're done here, you can always edit. We can always delete the field and pull that out. Very easy to yank and add and include these. I love adding the KPIs because it helps to tell a story a little bit differently from what you've seen. So basically using the Windows and a semicolon key, or if you've got the little smiley face button on your keyboard, a lot of these Microsoft keyboards have all these built in. You can actually put in other choices outside of just straight text. So again, looking at our visualization, very helpful. Something else I want to encourage you guys to do, and this is one of the fun things about really ensuring that we have good feedback to Microsoft. As an MVP, I love to hear feedback. I bring it to Microsoft. We start on the Partner Advisory Council. There's a lot of touch points to help improve. But one of the best ways is up here in the upper right-hand corner of your window is if you want to send feedback, just click here. Now, what's great about this is if you like or don't like something, or you have a suggestion, put it in. So if you like something or you want to add a suggestion, click on this, put your suggestion here. So maybe what I will say is, can we add, we'll just call it a multi-currency field. And so here's a request. Now, if you click on, you can contact me with about feedback, you need to include your email address. So if you're going to do that, or if you have a screenshot you want to drop in, do that. Now, here's the fun thing about this, is that even though the Microsoft team is engineering and building and working, they are reading these comments. Truly, they really are. And so there are times where I hear Heather and some of the other folks go, oh, I'd love to respond and let you know that this is coming out. Or, hey, it's there. Just go and refresh your screen or check your build. But they can't email you back. So include your email address. They don't sell it. They don't spam it. They don't do anything with this. They won't sell you anything. But again, use that feedback to continue to funnel direct feedback to the engineering team. Especially with Project for the Web, there's so many things that you can prioritize and work on. They are using this to help look at their priority list of what they're working on. So again, I'm going to cancel mine. I'd have other questions and conversations that we have on the back door. But again, don't forget your smiley face and send them feedback directly. Again, utilizing that user voice is helpful, and I think that's part of the importance in that process. So as you look at the grow up story of whether I'm coming back out here to import an existing project, or perhaps you're going to be in Planner here in the near future and just basically migrate your Planner board directly into Project for the Web, there's some great options there. Some things that we can talk about that are coming very soon. The ability to add what we call non-group resources to your schedules, meaning that people that aren't necessarily in your organization, we actually have the option of that will be coming soon, as well as some of the grouping, like the roll-up fields here. If I want to say I'd like to add a number field, I'd like that to auto roll up and calculate with min, max, sum, average. This is something that's going to be coming out here fairly near term. And again, I will have more updates about Project for the Web and some of the key features that are rolling out here. But again, very exciting to look at some of these and take advantage of the pieces. So in a nutshell, let's just kind of summarize here and recap a few things. So again, Microsoft's intent is to continue to invest in Project for the Web. They will be using this, and of course, that feature is embedded in project operations. So it's really designed in this large ecosystem to say whether you're in big enterprise program and portfolio management or you're starting with lightweight project management, you've got some options there. Secondarily, Project for the Web is here to stay. And also, Project Online is not disappearing, right? It's not going to disappear overnight. Microsoft just says, look, our investment is going to start focusing on some of the newer technologies. But Project Online, if you're using it or contemplating it, it has everything that you need, and you're kind of saying, Project for the Web, a little too small for what I need, you're still in great shape. So you've got attachments, you've got notes, you've got quick look fields, you've got new choice fields, you've got drop downs and combo boxes. You also have this open API that now says if you're doing .NET programming or if you're working in Power Apps or Power BI or Power Automate, we can do a lot more now with Project for the Web than we could do before. Again, this was tied and predicated to making sure that Project for the Web was moving in lockstep with Project Operations, the Dynamics product. So again, helpful to work with. And again, you can copy and import your plan, or you can basically keep a hold of it, and you can see your SharePoint files. The last thing I'm going to wrap up here is to give you a little sneak peek at some other things that are coming out for us to work with. And so we talk about using Project for the Web in terms of how it sits with the information that you're working with. So we can have all these loose and light projects. So if I come up here and build a new project, wonderful. If I add these custom columns, they're really localized to each project schedule. But what if I wanted to create KPIs or departments or programs or lookup tables? How do we use that? Well, at the end of January, Microsoft launched into GitHub this ability for you to download something called the Project app. And basically, let me take you and give you a sneak preview of this because we'll be spending more time on this. But the direction that Microsoft's going is that they've created a model-driven Power App that says, hey, if you want to do some customization, if you'd like to say, you know, when I start here, I'd like a nice summary of all of my projects, where they're at. I want to kind of see them all in one environment, but I want to bring them together, including starting with what we call the project intake request. So you can create new requests, you can kind of model what's coming in, you can fill out the information, and when you're ready, you can move these into what we call programs. Perhaps you have a series of programs that you're working with. And as we look at these, we can actually say, hey, if I want to drill into a project and look at it, that's fine. But what if it belongs to multiple programs and there's financials that have budget and maybe we've got a high level status, or we want to see which projects are there. And if I want to drill to them, I certainly can, including you could have many of these bundled together. Or you can just jump right to kind of what I call the projects that are associated with it. And again, you can look at all project, closed. Again, we start looking at a little bit more of an enterprise level feature. So again, you've got a light ability to do some light customization, I think up to 5 potential column additions or modifications. Otherwise, you slip into Power Apps and you start building this. But what I like about that is that we can actually start coming in and setting up our global resources, both generics and local resources. And when we're ready, we can actually jump into and see the Power BI report pack that Microsoft made available that says, hey, if you're doing all these projects for the web, we can kind of collect them together and give you a reporting dashboard, including program health. I can look at a portfolio view of all the projects that happen to be out there, what we're building, look at timelines and milestones, issues and risks. Again, we have issues and risks associated to these now. And inherently, if you want to keep going, there's quite a few of these. Let me just kind of jump to the end here, is if I'm a team member, I can come see my work or my timeline of things that I'm supposed to be doing. These are really things that I have assignments across in different projects. So again, Project for the Web has some great new features. And again, Microsoft's releasing and moving things forward, both either tactically or if you want to use kind of the accelerator or the app itself to begin bundling them together, you've got some great options. So again, from my perspective, I get very excited about helping organizations move their technologies forward. And in some cases, in many areas, move them backwards, right? We want to make sure that if it's too complex, what options do we have? So if you have more questions, reach out to me anytime. I love to answer those. Our team, actually, whole team at Advisicon loves to do that. And from our perspective, in terms of thinking, if you've got questions or things that will help you decide maybe a demo might be the right place to look at old or legacy project to new and classic versions, and then thinking through some of that. So again, thank you for your time. I appreciate the opportunity to help educate and train you guys. Look for more updated options coming out from us. Have a good one.